Right, now that warm-up segment is done, I can get on with the easy run for the day. And while we're doing that, we're going to have a little chat about the watch I've been using for the last 3 or 4 months now, the 735xt Forerunner. Okay, so welcome to the channel. If you haven't been here before, excuse me, something I've noticed in the analytics, we're getting a lot more views these days than about a month ago, and about 60% of those are coming from people who aren't subscribed. So if this is the kind of content you like on YouTube, do please consider supporting the channel and myself and the whole brain tumor research goal that we have going on here. And just you can do that by subscribing to the channel below, drop a thumbs up on the video, but as always, all the support and comments is hugely appreciated. So the 735xt, what do I think of it? I've had it for about 4 months now, and to be honest, I've held off doing the review on it because with the pools being closed, I didn't really have any chance to test out the functionality with swimming. And the reason I bought it was because it is a triathlon watch, and you can't really do a review of a triathlon watch without testing it out at swimming. I haven't had a chance to test it open water swimming yet, and I've heard mixed reviews about the tracking in open water, not so much on the 735 but on other Garmin watches. But I will try and drop an update when I get a chance to test it in open water. I've explained in other videos that I'm struggling to get to swim at the lake at the moment because of the safety aspect from the brain surgery, so as soon as I get the opportunity to, I will go and check it. But from a pool tracking aspect, I can talk about that, the running, the cycling, things like that. We can have a little chat about that. So really, what does it do? It's a GPS watch, and it's got a built-in heart rate monitor. Now, I bought it as a bundle from Wiggle, which came with the red, this one, the run. Now, this is the running heart rate strap. It's important to note, now while I believe this would work in the water, you can't use it in the pool. It's recommended you don't use it in the pool, but I don't quote me on that. I've never tried it in the water myself, just because I was recommended not to. Garmin do sell a specific triathlon and swimming heart rate strap, which is, I think, is about another 80 quid. The bundle I got from Wiggle I bought for about £200, but since then I believe it's gone up in value a little bit. But if you look around for deals, I think you probably would get the bundle for about 200 quid again. I've seen it pop up a few times on an advert for the same sort of price I paid for it, but if you go direct to the website, I think it reverts to £320. So just have a look around for a deal. But at 200 quid, it's more than worth it. Now, the GPS tracking I find pretty reliable.
I shouldn't have said that. I should not have said that.
I haven't had any problems with it losing tracking while I'm running or anything like that. The battery life is pretty good on it. I think I've done longer runs and sort of 3-4 hour bike sessions, and it's always had plenty of life left at the end of the sessions. How it would cope for a full sort of like Ironman distance, certainly if you were just coming in under the cut-offs, whether it would track for a full 17 hours, I'm not sure. I've heard, again, similar Garmin watches have no problems with it, and other ones cutting off after about 12 hours. But really, until I use it for that sort of duration, I won't know myself. Customization on it's pretty good. You can go into each activity and basically choose which data screens you want to show. If I remember right, there's an option of 4 screens, and you can set them up to show different data fields as you see fit. Myself, for running, I use kind of this one, which just shows my distance, my average pace, current pace. I'll put cadence on the bottom there, because at the time I was doing a lot of drills, and I was really trying to focus on giving a nice good sort of 170, 160 steps per minute. I'll probably replace that with heart rate, but I actually quite like the dial heart rate, which I'll flick on. I usually keep it at screen 3, so you can flick straight down to it, which gives you it as almost like a clock dial, and you can choose what you want to do with it basically. Now the zones kind of get set by themselves. You can do them manually in the Garmin app on the phone, but say you set your heart rate zones, you go out and you do some threshold training, sometimes the watch might decide actually you set them incorrectly, and it'll give you the option to adjust them. I've done that a few times, and it'll give you an updated sort of idea of what your threshold pace is at that heart rate based on your data. So it is quite in depth like that, and it tries to learn a little bit about you. Now, comfort wise, it's very comfortable, it's incredibly light. When I've been swimming with it, you don't notice it snagging the water at all. I actually noticed my wedding ring a lot more. I nearly lost it in the swim session on Friday, and but yeah, for swimming it's fantastic. On the bike, because I don't use a bike computer really at the moment, I just kind of turn it so the watch faces inwards, and then when I've got my hands on the aero bars, it essentially sits almost where a bike computer would, or at least it's as easy to see as a bike computer. So that works quite nicely for me. On the bike, similar, I just sort of give it my distance, time, average speed. I think you can pair it to other sensors. So if you've got cadence sensors on your bike, you could probably pair a cadence sensor to it. I'd imagine the Garmin one works, but I'm not sure if the other ones would. Integration with Strava is very good. You can start segments and things like that, which I'm going to run down to one of my segments here that I have started, and I'll show you kind of how the Strava Live feature works. So if you enjoy chasing around for KOMs, it's good for that. It kind of gives you your PB to chase as you're going up as a progress bar versus the KOM as well. So it'll give you your current time, PB, KOM time. So if you're interested in KOMs and Strava hunting, which I am, I'm just not fast enough to get many of them, it's good for that, because essentially if you've got it in your legs, you can sit just behind the KOM time, and then 100 metres from the end, just sprint it out. So it's quite good for that. But we'll have a drive down to the Hill Huntsman, and I'll show you how that feature works. Now, if you're someone who wants a little bit more structure to your training, like you have a plan and you've got sort of set intervals that you need to run, is obviously the lap feature. Basically, I'll show you the watch. It's this bottom right hand button is the lap, and it works the same as any other. Hit it to start the lap, hit it to finish the lap, or you can set it to auto mode, at which case it'll lap automatically. I think it defaults to lapping every 1 mile, but you can change it. You can change it to default per kilometre, per 5k. I mean, for myself, I just use the manual mode really. That works on all sports, works on the bike. I use it mostly for swimming. Being new to swimming, I tend to do sort of sets of drills or sets of strength work in anywhere between 50 to 200 metre laps. One important feature to mention is if you're swimming in a pool like I am at the moment, you do have to set the pool length to either 20, 25 or 50 metre pool or 100 metre pool. The settings in there for that, because it basically it tracks the change of direction. I think that's how it works anyway. So as you turn at the far wall, it finishes that. It times that lap for you, or that length. So like 25 metres to your counter. And you go back to the bottom wall, turn and move away again. It puts that extra 25 metres on. If you just come to a stop, obviously it tallies your final 25 metres and then ends it. So there we go. I've had the notification approaching Hill to Huntsman. Now if you want to use this, you essentially just set in here to use the Strava Live feature. You go on the Strava desktop, or I think it works on your phone. You find the segment you want to use the live on and you add it to your starred segments, and then once it syncs, from then you'll get things like this. So as I sort of head closer up this hill, you can kind of see it counting down to the start. So here we go, 36 feet. So we'll jog up to the start of it here. And there we go. So it tells me who the KOM is. It's Mr. Paul Dalton. And it gives me sort of like a split time to him. So as I'm running up, and it gives me my time and the pace I'm doing on the segment. So at the moment I'm going really slow. Not much more than walking pace. I'll walk to show you it better. Gives me my segment pace, 12:21 a mile. How far I am away from the end, 1/10 of a mile, and I'm 18 seconds behind him. So basically, if you can sort of do the speed, it works better on the bike, because obviously you're not running about as much, you're not swinging your arms, so you can see what's going on. But yeah, it works really nicely, gives you a split time and things like that. Let's see if I can get to the end, I'll show you what it, because I think if you take too long it just stops. So it gives me my time, how far behind the KOM I was, 47 seconds, and there we go. If you beat the fastest time, it comes up with a little crown, tells you you've got the segment, gives you your time, and then it just goes back to showing whatever screen it was showing before. So that's probably my favourite function on here for Strava. So while they're on my mind, what are things that I don't like about it? Well, not really the fault of the watch, but the things like to buy them standalone, things like the heart rate straps. I think the runner one's relatively reasonable, but the tri-specific ones, I think I've seen it anywhere between about 80 and 100 pounds. It's quite a lot just for a strap. I'll have to, I'll check the price of the equivalent Wahoo one, and I might change my mind, it might be part of the cost, but I'll find out when I put some text on the screen. But yeah, to pay £80 for the heart rate strap, especially if you pay the full price for the watch at 280 quid, I think it was, it's a little bit harsh, because really, once you've got the tri-specific strap, you can use that for everything. You don't need the runner one. So I would rather have paid a little bit more, since it is marketed as a multi-sport specific watch. I do feel like it should come with a multi-sport specific strap, heart rate strap that is rather. So it seems a bit silly to bundle it with just a run specific one and then to sell the multi-sport one separately, but they're in the business to make money, I guess. So on to problems with it. What problems have I had? Well, actually, now with the watch itself, I've had a couple of problems with the screen freezing when I take it off charge. With the screen freezing, it's never been anything that resetting the watch hasn't fixed. It's only happened a handful of times, once or twice. The biggest problems I've had by far are actually with Garmin Connect, the app. And a little while ago you'll have probably seen, if you're into things like Strava, Garmin Connect was hacked and it was held by some sort of ransomware. So syncing the watch to the phone was basically non-existent during that time. And I think the data only holds on the watch for a certain length of time. So if you didn't have access, like you were away from home, you didn't have access to a computer where you could download it and save it, you ran the risk of losing it. But yeah, Garmin Connect, the software's a little bit clunky. Now while it does display a lot of historic data, like it tracks your heart rate for weeks. I mean, I was coming up a little bit overtrained and I'd picked up a few niggles. This is my first day back out training for a couple of days. I took the weekend off, and you could see 7 days my heart rate at rest creeping up. It wasn't hugely affecting my heart rate, waking heart rate, but that's one thing I do wish it would track. It tracks your sleep, it picks up when you wake up in the morning, and it really could do with recording your waking heart rate when you wake up, because obviously your heart rate at rest after you've had a cup of coffee, it's not the same as your waking heart rate. And obviously your waking heart rate's a good indicator of if you're overtrained or not. So it's a good thing to record, but this doesn't. So yeah, a few things probably mentioned. The heart rate strap's really comfy, and it's never caused me any issues with any chafing. I think if you're interested in heart rate training, you'd get away with just using the watch, but it doesn't really record anywhere near as accurately or as fast. So I would definitely recommend getting the bundle with a heart rate strap, even if it is just the run one. It doesn't need to be the Multisport one. It comes pretty well, like really nicely packaged and things like that. It comes with a warranty from Garmin, which I think was 12 months. And really, I mean, would I buy it again? Yeah, definitely. I think it's done everything I needed it to, and I don't see any reason why it won't continue to do so going forward for me. Okay, apologise, we're not outside in the nice weather anymore. I've come back in to look at the Strava, and just when I was saying outside, I've never had any issues with it losing GPS or anything like that. The run that it came up with is nothing like the run I've just done. I will just preface this criticism with, this is the first time this has ever happened, and the fact that it's happened when I was reviewing the watch is probably a good thing. But it gives me something to talk about. I mean, the first thing that I noticed, I came home, I ended the run, it automatically uploads to Strava, and I obtained a badge called We Own the Night or something like that, which I was thinking, that's strange. And it recorded my run as happening at last night at 11:44 PM, which is a good 12 hours out from when I actually did it. So now I have noticed over the last couple of days, it first happened when I was swimming, it lost a GPS signal because obviously I'm inside a building. The time was out by a few hours. Now once I got outside and I started another activity and it connected to the GPS, it reset its time. So I think once you reset it to connect back to the GPS, it picks the time back up and syncs up. The very first interval is one called Cobblerswood Welly that I did, and actually I was quite interested to see how fast it was, because it was never going to be the fastest one, but it was a decent effort, and coming back from a bit of a niggle on the weekend, I was interested to see it, and it hasn't recorded it. Now while I've been in the woods today, it hasn't recorded any of that. So the second one that I did, which was running down through Woodland Park, which I picked up at the top of the Ladybird Hill, it hasn't recorded that one either until I've got out of the park, essentially. So yeah, so there we go. I've adjusted it, so I've got the distance that the watch is actually then linked to Strava. So of the 4 mile that I did today, the section that it's recorded is 1.59 miles. So it's actually cut off essentially 2/3 of the run. And within that 2/3 are the two segments that I really wanted to bloody see. So that's incredibly frustrating.
Just work, you stupid fucking thing!
Like I say, that is the first time it's ever happened. But if that happened to me when I was doing something like a half marathon PB or an event like the Great North Run that I'd been training all bloody year to do or something like that, I'd be seriously pissed off. And to be honest, I'm pissed off just because of those 2 intervals. Not that much, but I am a bit of a Strava wanker and I would like to see what they were. Especially after coming back from a niggle, I was interested. Incredibly rare that that's happened. Like I said, I've had it about 4 months now, and it's the first time. But just don't say I didn't warn you if you buy one and it happens. But it has happened. I think it's a risk with any GPS watch. You never know what happens. I mean, you could go and, like I say, I was in the woods there. The canopy cover's quite thick at the moment. That could easily have been the problem. Normally it's not an issue, but obviously it has been today. So yeah, basically I'm going to leave that one there. Overall, even regardless of what's just happened there today, I do think it's a really good watch. It's very much worth the money, especially if you get it on the bundle deal. Like I say, for 200 quid, I would buy it again. I'm considering buying one for my wife, and I do think it's a really good buy. Like I say, the software, Garmin Connect, could be a bit better, and it does implement very well with Strava normally. I think you can also link it to things like Training Peaks, and I think Trainer Road might have some compatibility too, but I'd have to double check that. But yeah, if you're on the look for a reasonably priced GPS watch for running, cycling, especially swimming, to a lesser extent, but it does work for swimming reasonably well, I would absolutely recommend it. So yeah, 735xt, good watch.